Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of the Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name, though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vish, and DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show. I don't think my guest needs any introduction, but I'll do it anyway. My friend, I didn't go that far now. My friend Melissa Brown, also known as Hoodie Girl, joins the show for the first of what I'm hoping are many appearances. Melissa, how's it going?
What's up, Vish? We finally met up in Houston this past weekend.
Yeah, and this isn't the show we wanted to do. We wanted to do the finals preview show, but we'll do this one.
Yeah, we were hoping to broadcast from Houston, but unfortunately, Saturday didn't go as planned.
and we all fled the town as quickly as possible after that. So
well, it saved me some money, but I know you didn't save money because you were confident and booked through Tuesday, and I did not, but was planning to extend.
I was overly optimistic. Had to pay to change the flight and just ate the rest of it, but it was all good. It was a good time anyway. So we're gonna talk about some of that as well. Our experience at the Final Four. I still can't believe we were at the Final Four, but talk through some of that. Obviously, the game itself. Do a little breakdown on, I guess, what went wrong for our team there. But I guess let's start with that. So how was your overall final? You want to talk us through? It's kind of weird because we spent a lot of it together, but
pretty much except the actual game. Yeah, I think I was with you maybe the most because you ended up meeting up with me and my friends for lunch, and we were like together the whole day until we walked to the arena.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of it together. But anyway, for the audience, indulge me. So how was your overall Final Four experience?
It was good. I mean, was it that we got in Friday night, hit up Andre Johnson's new bar. You never got your alcohol.
You got a picture with Andre Johnson though, so you know that
I did.
That does pay
but
off.
I'm not hating on his new bar. That was like a soft opening, and I guess a lot more people, from what I found out, a lot more people came than they were expecting, and you had to buy a ticket to the event, and then they still let in walk-ins, so they ended up running out of alcohol. So it got very busy in there very quickly. But we hung out a bunch, and then, pregame, getting some good barbecue. We never ended up at FanFest.
Okay. So one of my friends actually ended up going to the actual FanFest, not the. We're not gonna rehash old stuff about how you.
I tried to warn you,
and I didn't listen. All right, we're not doing that. But actually went to the actual FanFest. They said it was more geared towards like little kids and stuff. It wasn't really so. I don't know that we missed much there. Anyway, we're going to be regulars in the Final Four.
I think the barbecue was a better time anyway.
Yeah, no, and we'll do it next Final Four when we're there. So
in Phoenix, well, next year is Phoenix. The year after is San Antonio. So
oh god,
Texas was not good luck for us.
I think
Texas.
I think I spoke that into existence.
I think it was just bad mojo because we beat two Texas teams, and so Texas just wasn't having it.
When's the last time a Miami program won a game in Texas? Because we do play there pretty frequently for not like really having any ties to the state. I can't even remember.
When was the last time we've played a Texas team there?
We played Texas A&M last year.
Well, not football, basketball.
Oh, basketball.
I mean, if you want to include football, I mean, I kind of hope that the football team plays SMU at some point soon.
Why friendly fire?
Transfers are still there.
Why is this? Do you have a grudge or something?
There's like 6 former Miami Hurricanes.
I get that, but why do you want to play them? I don't get that part.
I mean, it's like SMU now. I mean, there's so many people went there.
Yeah, but I guess what I don't get is like, why do you want to actually play them? Like, what is that? What is that getting you?
It would just be fun.
Okay.
Unless we lose, then it would be horrible.
I mean, after Middle Tennessee State, I'm not going to comment. So, anything's possible.
Yeah. I try not to use those words in a sentence anymore.
Yeah. Oh, no, we did a pregame of that. In fact, if you watch the intro, that's like a horror show of. I already told them I'll recut a new one for next year because it's got me standing at Kyle Field at the Texas A&M game because I hopped onto our pregame show real quick, just like wave at the camera. It's got Jazz and Blue in the press box right before Middle Tennessee State. It's got Frank Ponce. So we need a new intro. So I have taken the action on to cut one for next year.
You need an intro for hoops, and then you can include me in some clips.
Oh, you're definitely. You're going to be in the intro now. Assuming we do as much content as I said I want to do with you, and you're down for it, then then we will definitely have you in the intro. I have to put 5 Reasons Sports in your bio and make you a regular here. But
but before we talk Final Four, I just want to mention the disrespect that the women's team got by being ranked 18th to end the season after they made the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I think that's kind of normal. I mean, that was the first time we were ranked this year. So.
But if we're technically the top 8 teams in the country and we held LSU to their lowest
I was about to say, I think
they scored 102 points in the final and we held them to 52 or something crazy. I mean, come on.
I was about to say the disrespect was not that we got to the Elite Eight because you can fluke into that, is that we played LSU better than
anybody else.
That Iowa did. And actually then Virginia Tech did after they kind of fell apart there. I think we definitely were tougher for them to play against. We could have made some shots.
It was kind of like a deja vu watching the guys because both teams in their losses had horrible shooting.
Yeah, just missing shots they normally make. Anyway, we're gonna do a whole we're gonna do a whole bunch of women's coverage now that I have someone I can talk to about it. So
yeah, I'm probably gonna get season tickets for them next year.
Nice.
I'm gonna go back and get my hoop season tickets. I've been out for a couple years, but I can't not. I feel empty not having season tickets.
But isn't it with your work? Isn't it hard to actually go to?
Yeah, it's hard, but it hurts my soul not having season tickets the last few years. I've gone to games, but I got to be a season ticket holder, and me and my friend are each going to get a seat, so one of us will be using the tickets at all times, so they'll be filled. Okay. It just with my basketball passion to not have tickets. It's not. I'm not a true fan if I'm not a season ticket holder, and so that's kind of bothered me. So I got to get back to that.
Yeah, back in the fold. I'd say this: no one can accuse you of bandwagoning. So
I wish I got to scroll through my Twitter and go back to the 2011, 2012 years when we were horrible during the hate time and look at some of my old tweets trying to get people to show up for games.
Oh man, I was losing my mind because I was writing back then about the teams, and I was losing my mind because I'm is anyone gonna do something here? Because we stink and we shouldn't. Is everyone just cool with this? Happy that Missouri hired him, and I was I cannot believe it's winning the lottery. I
mean, to see how poorly we were coached prior to Coach L, because he did that 2012-2013 run with pretty much 99% of Coach Hate's recruits.
Yeah, no.
Again. I stick to it till this day. If we had not had Shane Larkin with massive food poisoning the night before, we got our first Final Four that year.
Yeah, for sure. Because the team we lost to, Marquette, wasn't even good. That was just it was one of those days.
Yeah, you need great guard play to win in the tournament, and Shane Larkin just wasn't himself. Obviously, I mean,
and Durant Scott too. Also, so it was our entire.
Yeah, we kind of covered all of the points you need for a championship team that year. We had size, we had depth, we had great guard play, and we had experience because half of that team, besides Shane Larkin, the most of the rotation was seniors and fifth-year seniors. So we had everything. We just going into that game, people were just injured. And it sucks because that could have been it was a historic year in general because we double dipped the ACC and all that. I mean, we got disrespected not getting a 1 seed, but if he hadn't gotten sick, I think that's our first Final Four run.
And that
no
team,
disrespect to this year.
Yeah,
that team was the most complete.
Yeah, and that team actually could have finished it too, just because.
I think so.
Yeah, but I guess we can answer Raul's question before we pivot back to our experiences there. I'll give this to you first.
Does it change the trajectory of the program? Honestly, I think last year is what changed the
God
trajectory.
damn it, you stole my
of the
answer.
program.
I
Honestly, I mean, forget Boeheim's stupid comments on whenever he said about Miami succeeding in NIL. Is that like a backhanded apology? I don't know. But NIL is a part of college basketball. But us making the Elite Eight last year with basically just the starting five and that's it because we had no bench says a lot for what Coach L can do with a team that maybe doesn't look the greatest on paper, but because of amazing coaching can do what they did last season. And it's just unfortunate that we ran into Kansas and we couldn't play a complete game because we had the first half we were up. And I think that run is what got us Omier and Nigel Pack. Because first of all, we lost Charlie Moore. And so Nigel Pack coming over from Kansas State, a big reason why he came here, besides where the trajectory of the program was going, is he wanted to learn the point. And who wouldn't want to play for Coach L? But I think a big reason is because of what we did last year, and they saw how Coach L can develop. And I think Coach L hits the portal again this year, and we get those pieces that we're still missing. And I said it on Twitter earlier today. There's just a couple things that are keeping this program from being a national championship. I wouldn't even say contender, a national championship winner, because we were contenders this year. But if he gets those pieces, I think we're in Phoenix next year.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit, so you did steal my answer. I was going to say last year was actually the one that changed the trajectory of the program, because I don't think this year happens without last year, not just with the portal players coming in, but also just this team was so motivated to take the next step, because it would have been very easy to feel good about it. Again, it's after what happened Saturday, you don't feel, it's going to take a while to get over that game, but going through,
I know you saw my tweet Sunday morning.
Yeah. I literally on Sunday, I just stayed in my hotel room and didn't come out until I went to the airport, and my flight was at 6 p.m. I was just in depression. But anyway, but without last year getting, like you said, halfway to the Elite Eight by to the Final Four, because you're up at halftime, you're almost there, and then have the bottom fall out. I don't know that there's that, especially against Texas, there's that ability to dig deep and say, hey, we're not losing again at this round.
Well, also that run, I think, kept players this year.
Yeah, that's true. That's another good point.
Miller came back. Wong, I don't think he was considering transferring. I think that his agent was just spewing some BS. But
I think he was considering going pro. I think that was part of where his decision was.
I think he's going to go pro now. I don't know that he comes back. But I think everyone else says, and then Miller's out of eligibility. But I think that run last year kept certain players with the program, and then again helped L in recruiting. And we have a 6'9", 6'10" guy coming in next season. That's going to be a freshman that his high school tape is ridiculous. Michael Owoka, I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram though, but I've seen some of his tape and he doesn't look like he's 18 years old. He's already a full grown man at 18. I don't know how much of a difference will be for us next season, because again, he's got to develop. College is different, but I think if we hit the portal and get an experienced center, or even a tall stretch four, or Norchad works on his shooting and we move him to the 4, I think that'll be, I think next year could be special, but we have to be able to spread the floor, and Norchad at the 4, he's not a shooter right now. And that stretch 4 is kind of important. So it'll be interesting to what we do in the portal.
Yeah.
And to see who comes back.
Yeah. And I will say, we'll do a whole other show on talking about next year. How about that? Because I want to talk about the Final Four now. We're getting all these questions.
Yeah, but we gotta do that closer to the season, because we gotta see who's coming.
We can do something next week talking about what we hope happens. We'll do like I said, if you're in, we'll do a season preview. We'll do all that crap. I am.
You'll have to come to some games, and we can pot it up down here.
Yeah, no, I went to one this year in Miami, and it was the Florida State game. So
you're the reason why we lost.
You know
we
what?
Were undefeated at home.
Actually, I mean, you can't argue with facts. I was feeling way too good at halftime of that game. I think that might have also caused it.
As much as I hate dealing with the FSU fans on Twitter talking about that win and them claiming that we suck, even though we made the Final Four, and laughing at us for making the Final Four. I think that game woke us up. Because we've had that problem all season with giving up big leads and just getting too cocky in the second half. And I think that game was kind of like a, hey, you need to play a full 40 minutes. And I think it helped us. I mean, it sucks because honestly, it's so annoying. All the tweets with the FSU people just talking about, oh, well, we beat you and haha, you didn't win the Natty. I'm like, you've been sitting on your couch after losing in the first round of the ACC tournament. Like, you had 9 wins. Congrats on one of them being us, but we still made the Final Four.
Yeah, I don't think their heart's really in it. It's not good smack talk. You got to be better.
Yeah, I love the excuse that they're a football school. They're like, we don't care about basketball, and haha, you guys are a basketball school now and nobody cares. And I'm just like, we just swept your baseball team. Your basketball team couldn't even get double-digit wins, but congrats on making a bowl game last season in football. Strong work.
Yeah, I think it's their coping.
Yeah, I mean, they think they're national title contenders in football next season.
Yeah, watch this space. So all right, let's kind of pivot back to the Final Four. Well, let's just talk about the whole tournament as a whole, because obviously you've been following the program for a long time. You talk about just like what it felt kind of watching this. I know you had a very unique, let's call it, viewing experience, for lack of a better word, up till the Final Four. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So the Final Four game was actually the first game I watched live, because all of the other games I was either traveling or at work. So it got to the point with the superstition where my friends were like, you can't watch the Final Four game because you're going to jinx it. And I was like, technically, I haven't watched any game on TV, and I'm still not going to watch any game on TV because I'm going to be there. Although my seats were so high up, I was kind of watching the Jumbotron most of the time.
I want to talk about that too and ask you how the
But I so overpaid for tickets, but that's okay, in the nosebleeds. But no, for the Elite. So I was on a bus back from Magic Kingdom when we won the Sweet 16 game, and I'm literally on the bus celebrating with my friend, which was funny. But no, for the Elite 8 game to get into the Final Four, I was driving home from Orlando, and I got back to my apartment with about 4 minutes left. And between me being so nervous and being so superstitious, I was literally just standing in front of a blank TV because I was too afraid to turn it on. So one of my friends, who I think is in the chat right now, Edward, I don't know if you're still there, Edward, say hi. He knows not to spoil it for me. So he was just texting me how much time was left. And so by the end, he told me when the game ended, and he's like, do you want to know what happened? And so I was like, count it down. So he types like 3, 2, 1. And then there's like a dramatic 8-second pause. And I'm just like, tell me. And then he like put the score and said that we won. So I was just freaking out. I called my mom like in tears because I was so excited. But yeah, I hadn't watched a single game live, and honestly, it was very stressful watching the game in person in the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, I watched every game live, so it was a little different experience, like the exact opposite.
Yeah, but I was like, I had told one of my friends, and I was like, last year when we lost in the Elite 8, I was disappointed, but no one really expected us to get that far. We were a 10 seed. I had a lot higher expectations going into this season, and when we lost to Duke in the ACC tournament, I was like devastated. But had we lost that Elite 8 game, I would have been a million times more devastated than our loss to Kansas last year. Oh, Edward's there. Hi, Edward.
Yeah. Yeah.
My group chat is currently going off on my phone.
Yeah. For me, it was like, I went to the Elite 8 game last year in Chicago, but I fully expected to lose that game. I was just like, I honestly thought we might not make it this far again. We never have before. So I just wanted to be in the building. So
that's how I felt about this year and going to the Final Four, even though it was mad expensive.
But then we were up at halftime, and I'm like, wait, are we actually going to win this game? And then the bottom fell out.
I was at work for that game. And so I had it on in the TV in the office, and I go downstairs to go see a few patients at halftime, and I'm super stoked because we're like up 6 or 8. And I come back like 30 minutes later, and like we're down 15. And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, no, it was like, so fast.
I was wearing a Miami t-shirt. Totally broke the dress code because you're not supposed to wear like brands and stuff. And was super excited, had like Miami shoes on, all this stuff. And I come back upstairs, and I was just like, all right, I guess we're losing the Elite 8, but it was a good run. And hey, I made $100 because my mom's boyfriend is a USC grad. So we bet $100 on the first round game. So there's that. Made $100.
Yeah, and I didn't, for the life of me, think that we would be back like to the Final Four the next year.
In my brackets, I had us losing in the Sweet 16 to Houston.
I always pick Miami. which is why I finished. Actually, I have to give this to someone else this year. This is the toilet bowl mug that whoever finished last in my pool has to keep on their desk for a year. This is no longer mine.
You finished last year?
No, I just had it because we went remote for COVID, and I ended up getting it out of the office, so I had to give it to whoever finished last this year now.
So
yeah, no, I have had this before. An A&M grad, actually.
Oh.
I
will say, even though I picked it wrong in my brackets on Dono's Locked On Kane show, I said in February I would go back on his show when we made the Final Four. So I sort of called my shot. I was just trying to make money and be realistic in the bracket pool. But next time I need to pick with my heart, not my brain.
I made that. So this is the thing. I made that mistake last year because I picked us to lose to Auburn. I'm like, I'm an idiot because I always pick Miami to go way too far and it blows up in my face. Like the one time I didn't do it.
The one time.
So I was like, this time, screw it. I picked us to win.
And Kansas screwed me 2 years in a row because I picked them to win this year.
I mean, my whole bracket was done other than us. So
I'm pretty sure I put Furman beating Virginia, which was more of just me hating on Virginia than anything else. So that's my one claim to fame in my bracket this year. But yeah, and I had FAU losing in the second round, so I didn't know they would play a 16 seed. So
yeah.
But oh my gosh, that last second shot by San Diego State. Yeah, I don't care if you were watching it on TV. There was no crazier feeling than being in that stadium and watching that shot go down.
Yeah, I wasn't in my seat. I was out on the patio, so I missed it.
The atmosphere, there was 2 FAU fans sitting behind me, and I just turned around and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I mean, I was sort of rooting for FAU because it's a South Florida school, but in my head, I was like, I kind of don't want them to win because if we lose, then they're going to claim they're the best basketball school in the state of Florida, and I can't have that. So at least we both lost in the semis.
Yeah, no, at least you have that. Yeah, I did have the toilet for a year after that Loyola game. That one hurt. many ways that hurt.
We've just had some tough losses in the tournament. I'm saying but I mean, until we win a natty, no year will compare to this year. I mean, if we make a Final Four run again next year, I will literally, like, I don't even know. Like, I have so much. There's just T-shirts all over my dining room table because I took out all of my merch from over the years from our NCAA tournaments, and I'm just like, how many do I have? Can I turn this into another blanket? I'm still waiting on more. I have like 3 more shirts coming. That's why I didn't buy any from the tournament games like in Houston, because I'm like, I've already bought enough.
Yeah, I never did because we lost.
Oh no, I buy for every round. I have like 3 different ACC regular season shirts from this year, 2 Sweet 16 shirts, an Elite 8 shirt. I think I have 2 Final Four shirts coming, and the hat. The hat is nice.
Yeah,
I'm not a hat person, but that'll get displayed somewhere.
I bought Elite 8 stuff last year at the game, and so then I was like, I'm not buying anything until the Final Four this time because I've already got the Elite 8 one. And then
I just have the one Elite 8 shirt from Fanatics, and it's kind of crap, but the Fanatics stuff was better this year, fortunately.
Yeah, and then like I was so upset when we lost, I just like walked out of the stadium, didn't even think to buy anything. So I'll probably buy some Final Four stuff online.
The problem is the team this year has kind of set our expectations really high. So like even if we were to like make it to the Elite 8 next year and we lose, it's like, oh well, we've already made it to the Final Four. So like our next thing should be like making the finals and winning. Like my bucket list for so long has been just going to the Final Four, but I'm like, now we've done it. So now we actually have to win it. Like that's my new expectation. And like I didn't think we'd ever get that far ever. So
no, I didn't as of last year. That's why I went to the I was literally randomly in Texas. I actually to avoid the stay at Texas because I was in Texas for a wedding, and I was flying back to DC the Sunday of the Kansas game, and I was like, I wonder if I could change this flight. And I was able to get like a 5 a.m. flight out of Houston to go to Chicago, and then get a night flight back to DC. So I just like transited through Chicago and went to the game because I was like,
imagine how much we would have had to spend if the Canes women's team made the Final Four. We'd be driving back.
Oh yeah, no, I was definitely. I was planning on doing it alone, but after I met you, now I'm like, someone would have. I would have gone.
Listen, you will never have to travel to an NCAA tournament game alone if Miami is playing. Now that we have found each other, we're the 2 biggest basketball freaks. We will be. Next year, like Albany, like I've never seen snow, so I totally would have gone to Albany.
Oh, you've never seen snow? Interesting.
Yeah, I grew up in South Florida, man. Like I'm the flip flops. You know, people were asking me why I wasn't wearing a hoodie through Houston, and I was just like, it's 90 degrees in the shade.
I know. Ironically, I was wearing the hoodie.
Oh, because you were dressed for.
Yeah, I
you were
tried to
dressed in
not mess
cold
the
weather
vibe
for
up.
everything.
At least now I have an excuse. Next year, if we change climates, I can change clothes because it did not work.
Well, this was the hoodie I was wearing when I predicted us to the Final Four, so I thought I would bring it back.
Break it out again. Yeah.
A Canes wear edition.
Yeah, I tried to wear everything that I was wearing at the previous games and for the previous trips, which were in colder climates, so I was just overdressed the whole weekend.
My road game and neutral record is so bad when it comes to football and basketball games that I don't know that my friends are ever going to let me go to any road games ever again. I've only seen one road win between basketball and football, and that's in 2019 when the football team beat Pitt.
Interesting. Oh, you went to the
that's
game?
I went to the game in Pitt, and Kosi Perry started, and he got pulled like for the last two drives, and Jaron Williams came back in.
Oh, so we threw the
pass
winning
to KJ
touchdown.
Osborne.
Yeah.
And I remember we were driving, and I was just like, we need to get a touchdown because that's when our kicking game was horrible.
Right.
And I think we were down 1 or 2 or something, or 3 maybe. I don't know. I'm like, please do not screw this up. We cannot kick a field goal. Like, please. And KJ Osborne broke that tackle, and that's the only time I've seen us win on a neutral site or on the road.
Well, you just got to go to more road games, get your volume up, then you'll see more wins.
Listen, I almost went 2 years ago. I had it booked to go to Atlanta to see us play Bama, and I canceled it last second.
I mean, look, if you're going to do that, you're setting yourself up for the loss. So, like, that's not on you. Come on.
Honestly, I was just going because I had never been to Atlanta except the airport, which is totally garbage. But me and my friend decided not to go, and I was watching it on TV, and I was like, thank God I'm not there.
I mean, I did Georgia Tech this year. We won. That's actually like in the city too. That you should.
I didn't do any road games. I just did most of the home. I actually missed MTSU, so that was nice.
Oh, so you can't even take the blame for that. You can't even take the blame for that.
But I was at, what did I go to? I went to North Carolina, Duke, like the home games, North Carolina, Duke, FSU, and Bethune-Cookman. And then my seats were never empty. My tickets were given to a Miami fan filled my seats at every game.
Yeah, I mean, I have seats with like my sister, brother-in-law, and one of our friends that are all down there. So I'm the one who's give my ticket to someone else or bring someone else to the game because if I don't show up, otherwise I use my seat obviously because I'm the one who's not.
Well, the parking situation.
Yes, yeah, I saw you go on a series of rage tweets this afternoon.
If they keep screwing us over like that, I'm just gonna start watching the games from the comfort of my couch because I didn't donate extra money and buy season tickets to be tailgating at Walmart next season. So we'll see what happens, but it's very annoying that they're overcharging us. Like, give me a product on the field first.
Yeah,
that's
my concern
unpopular opinion.
It's not. I think that's actually a popular opinion, to be honest. But you're not exactly sticking your neck out there,
right?
I don't see a lot of people defending the parking situation right now, but
except those that could buy passes today and tomorrow.
Well, I'm
not till next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm next Tuesday, and it's probably actually because I graduated from Miami a few years before you did, and I think that's probably because I did whatever the minimum donation was to get on the parking.
So did I.
Yeah, so I think that was probably the distinction because they still add points if you graduated from there. I don't even know how they do this thing anymore.
I have 2 degrees from there. You think I gave them so much money that
I have 2 also.
Get me a decent parking pass, right? I mean,
well,
come on.
This is my concern, right? Because I looked at the parking map, and I don't think they took away. From what I can see, they just moved some of the colors around. Like, it doesn't look like there's any parking missing.
And they overcharged last year. I paid $300 for maroon lot because it was the only thing left that wasn't yellow. And this next season, it's only $150.
Is it the same area though, or is it?
It's the same dirt lot by the student buses.
Oh,
I was like, if you're gonna charge me, it's on the north side. If you're gonna charge me $300,
I know exactly where that is.
I was like, you could at least put pavement. I mean, it wasn't yellow lot, so it was still closer.
Oh, I know what that lot is.
Yeah, I mean, actually, honestly, I kind of like that lot, except for like the amount of dirt, because it was super easy to get out because there were no other lots on that side because everything's on the other side of the stadium.
Yeah, that's where
so
I parked
leaving
for
was nice.
That's where I parked for the Formula One stuff. Was on that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they press credentialed me for that. So like that's where the media lot was for that thing.
I want to get some press credentials. You think I've been on enough podcasts that I can get some press credentials?
We'll talk offline. I think we can definitely do something on some of these. Depends on the sport, but I think we can. Like I said, we might have to add 5 reasons to your byline, and then it'll be easier.
Well, I mean, I'm probably getting season tickets for both basketball teams next season.
Well, that's the thing. I actually told you this offline. Like, when you're credentialed, you have to like follow these rules, and I skate by sometimes, assuming the game is not that high stakes. But like, I don't. No offense. I don't know if you have the self-control.
No.
I don't either. That's why I bought tickets to all these tournament games.
You weren't sitting near me for the Final Four game. And then actually 2 of my friends that were sitting somewhere else actually moved over because we had space in front of us. But there was a kid sitting behind me. So my level of cussing was brought down a lot because I try to be respectful if there's kids sitting around me. But I only yelled the F word like 3 times. And the first time was when Anthony Walker shot a 3. And my friend texted me, he's like, there's the obligatory Anthony Walker 3 that he shouldn't be shooting.
If only that was the only thing. I mean,
after the 10th missed layup, there was a few F-bombs that got dropped.
We could talk about the game now, maybe a little bit. But actually, I am curious. So you obviously you sat in the upper corner there. How could you see anything from there? How did that?
I mean, you could see. It's just like there's a bunch of times where I was like, was that really a foul? And then they showed it like a replay. I'm like, oh, okay. It was hard to see like those really bang plays, but for like, I mean, you could see like, for honestly sitting up top is a lot easier to tell when a shot's just off. So
do you think it was better shooting, like where you were, or maybe more towards the middle? Would that have been better, or?
I wouldn't say I was like on the end court. I was kind of like,
you were like on the corner.
If you were comparing it to like a football stadium, I was like 20-30 yard line ish.
I mean, it is a football stadium, so
about like a football field, field.
Okay.
It was fun sitting up there. I would have preferred to be a little lower. Like honestly, my ideal view for a football game or a basketball game would be like club level. Because especially for football, I hate sitting lower level because I think you get a crap view. That's why I sit upper deck at Hard Rock.
Same thing.
Because I'm not rich enough to sit club level, but I for football especially, it's just easier to see from the upper deck. But basketball, I wish I was lower for sure.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing that we do at football. It's what we see.
But the nice part was the upper deck wasn't completely full. Like people that were there for SDSU and FAU, a lot of the fans left. So there were a bunch of open seats around me. And then I was sitting next to these 2 guys that I guess live in Houston. But they didn't care. Like they're Georgia Tech fans, but they're like, we're just here to watch some basketball. And so like I was just commenting on all the plays that we were screwing up and stuff. And the kid turns to me and he's like, you need to be a commentator. And I was like, they wouldn't let me on air because or they wouldn't let me cover Miami because I would cuss because I'm too into it.
Well, I mean, platform is yours now, so you should have told them, hey, actually. I
should have plugged your show. What was I thinking?
Well,
but during the game, I wasn't sure.
Plug yourself. Plug yourself. That's what you gotta do.
No, generally when I'm on a podcast, I always plug Coop's show. Because Coop is the one that gave me my nickname and the first podcast I was ever on. So, Coach Coop, you're the man. You're probably not watching this, or maybe you are. I don't know. But what's up, Coop?
Yeah, and just in case anyone's not aware, this does go as a podcast too. So, if you don't see it, you can hear it.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening to this on podcast, you should really watch it on YouTube because you got to check out the hoodie fashion.
That's true. You know what? Do both. We need the clicks. So. Watch on YouTube and hit the.
Should I go rewatch this later so you go to view and click like?
I mean, if I'm not gonna to order you to do anything, but you know,
you tweeted about it being live during the intro, and I quickly went on Twitter and retweeted it right before you went live.
Yeah, no, we have it linked into like all of the Twitter accounts for Six Rings for 5 reasons and mine. So I just usually when the intro is running, it's long enough where I can get in there and.
I had my phone. I saw my phone light up, so I was like, "Oh, quick! Let me retweet that really quick." I would have put like a message, but there wasn't enough time. So I don't know how long your intro is.
I can tell you exactly how long it is. It's got a timer on it.
I knew when you said you were gonna have me on to talk basketball, and we are like, "Oh yeah, like let's be done at 8." And you're like, "Should we do 6:30 or 7?" I was like, "Let's do 6:30 because we're gonna go."
Yeah, because we haven't even talked about the game yet, but just real quick on the experience.
40 minutes in.
So what? So for us, like I was obviously like down. Actually, I was like right in the perfect place to watch from. But so you mentioned kids. There were these 2 there was a family of Connecticut fans sitting behind me with 2 little kids that would not shut up. And
oh, hey, listen, that's better than the two drunken, like, just graduated University of Connecticut students that were two rows ahead of us, dropping so many F-bombs and like taunting the crowd around them. My friend got in a fight with one of them. Well, it wasn't really a fight. He actually very calmly told him to like sit down and was like very respectful about the whole thing. And the kid just kept going off to the point where his friend had to like tell him to sit down because he was being so disrespectful.
Okay,
I was actually very proud of my friend.
you got to be careful because in Miami, when we say fight, we mean fisticuffs because we actually fight.
No, and that's why I had to change it because that kid wanted to fight because he was yelling, but my friend was actually very respectful about it and just calmly was like, "Listen, you need to chill out." And because if that was like my friend back in our like general admission days, back when it used to be the Bank United Center, there would have been a lot more going on. But now we're all adults.
Yeah. I do occasionally have the I'm too old for this.
We're past getting thrown out of games for waving money at the refs.
Yeah, that's a whole other story you have to have you tell sometime. I've heard pieces of that story. I'll need to get the full thing from you sometime.
Well, yeah. I've told it to quite a few people. I'm actually very proud of it. So
anyway, so like these kids, they will not shut up. But like whatever, I'm like they're kids. Whatever, kids are annoying. I get it. But then like eventually, like with about 10 minutes left, like there are two people sitting next to me are San Diego State fans. They get up and leave. So then there's no one sitting next to me. And one of the kids, all right, so what would you do in this situation? Because I just ignored it, but it annoyed the crap out of me. So one of the kids, like, we're on the part of the stadium where it's not like the actual stadium seats. It's like the folding chairs.
Because it's like where like the football field would be.
Yeah. We're basically on the football field.
Dang, baller! You had some good seats.
Which is why like it was so hot. Because they light the football field up and we're like on the field. So like it's just like those dome lights like baking you. But anyway, so this kid puts his feet up on the chair next to me and is like repeatedly, accidentally, like kicking me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything because I was pissed about the game and I'm like, I don't want to take it out on the little kid, so I just like let it go. What would you have done? I didn't say anything.
It depends on how many times it happens and how much it was like really being annoying. Honestly, I wasn't in the situation and we weren't having a good day because of how the game was going.
Well, that was the thing. I was like, I was getting pissed off. And I was like, am I overreacting just because?
Yeah, but I mean, if it was happening multiple times, there's no reason why you can't turn around and just be nice about it and just be like, hey, please, can you just like be careful?
I mean, I would have told the parents, not the kid.
I was like, like he can leave his feet there, but can he just like be a little bit more aware? The problem is that in that moment, in the heat of the environment, like 9 times out of 10, the parents probably take it as you being an ass.
Yeah, and it's also like, I mean, I think in a way I was more tolerant of it because like I was so upset.
Or I would have just moved seats and just sat where his seats were.
I could have done that. Just be like, I'm gonna move over a seat, just plop my ass down.
Just stand up. Just stand up.
You're not gonna be able to see anything now, kid.
No, and so that actually reminds me of something. So back when I was a student, I don't know if they still do this, but when I was a student during the away team intro, we would turn around and hold up the U and chant "suck" at the end of every name. Okay. And so, I didn't chant "suck," but I did turn around and hold up the U. And so a tradition at the Watsco Center is you stay standing until Miami makes their first basket. And I didn't do that because there was people behind us. And through the first half, I was just like, this is why we're losing, is because I didn't do what we always do. And yeah, it kind of haunts me a little bit. Because I wanted to be respectful, but I didn't go with our usual routine. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah, you know what? As much as I'd love to blame you for that loss, I can't do it.
How many missed layups was it? 12?
ACC Network counted 14.
Gosh, was it just poor shooting, or was it just like their big men just altering shots, like us trying to?
I think it was both. So
yeah,
so I could obviously see really well from where I was, and although we talk next year, we'll sit together, and if I have to go upper deck, I'll do it. In Phoenix,
no,
we're going.
Here's the thing. My friends that I went with already bought tickets by the time I decided I was going with them because my other friends couldn't make a decision, which is why my hotel was like 45 minutes away from the arena. But next year I'll book it early, and I'm definitely would like to sit closer than section. I think
there's definitely a middle ground there.
Section 630. Here's the problem. is I spent $200 on those tickets. The day of the
Oh
game,
my God.
my seats
Okay.
were
Fine.
like $40,
Yeah,
and
I
I
was
was
about to
just
say, okay, you
like,
got
oh.
because mine
Jesus.
actually never went down. I actually paid. I mean, I'll tell you offline what I paid, but anyway.
Listen, all those people in Texas who bought seats who thought prices were gonna go up and pretty much prices dropped, lost so much money.
Yeah, but my section did not drop. It actually went up $300 from when I bought it to right before the tip. So
Yeah,
I felt good about
you
it.
saw a picture of my view. Actually,
Yeah.
the picture I posted of like the selfie of me with the
Yeah.
view, that's at the bottom of section 600. I was in row H.
So let me
So
ask
go
you,
about
let me-
like 10 rows up
But
from
let me
that.
ask you this question: can you actually see? Like every time I take a picture in an arena, it looks farther away on my picture than actually it is.
No,
Is
it was
that-
pretty far.
Okay, all right. Well, you can see
I
actually.
mean,
You can see
listen,
where I was sitting
I
on-
just wanted to be there. I mean, in hindsight, my friend had bought 2 seats and I was like, yeah, I'll sit with you. That's fine. I didn't realize it was a football. I thought it was NRG Arena, not NRG Stadium.
No, and actually,
I didn't even realize it until later.
Well, that was the hard thing. This is how I ended up spending when I spent again. We'll talk offline, but most of the seats are terrible because they're not even like in the frame of the court. Because
it's a football stadium.
Yeah, so like Matt, who was hanging out with us too this weekend, he ended up buying tickets and like won something on like the angle, and he's like, I couldn't see anything because I think your seats were actually better because at least you're up, so you can look down. He's looking across.
I could see the whole court pretty
and
nicely. Yeah, I could see the whole court pretty nicely. It was just high up, and then for like kind of down the stretch a little bit, I was kind of watching the jumbotron a little bit more just so I could like see closer and like look at replays. But I mean, I just wanted to be there. It was the first time we had ever been in the Final Four. I was so excited. It was so cool walking to the stadium before the game and seeing like the U and all of the banners. I have so many pictures of this around the stadium, like in front of it, holding up the U. And honestly, I even took pictures after. And like someone was looking at me because I was throwing up the U after the game in front of the stuff. And people were probably like, what is this girl doing? But like, I was devastated, but I was so proud to be there. Like between the men's team and the women's team getting to the Elite Eight, you couldn't put Miami basketball more on the map than winning a championship than we did this year with Katie Meyer and Coach L. Like it was the best. And I'm so sad that I didn't have season tickets for either team and I couldn't make it to games because I was glad I made it to the Final Four. At least I could say I went to one game, but like that it's so exciting. And honestly, so many players are going to be returning that I think both teams can make a run again next year. And I don't know where the women's NCAA tournament's going to be next season.
Cleveland.
But if we
talked about
so not even close. Phoenix and Cleveland.
No, we talked about
Dang.
it. Okay, look, that's
going to be expensive, Vish, if we have to fly back and forth.
First world problems. If we're in both Final Fours, I'll figure it out.
I gotta get a credit card with better like miles,
better points.
Because me and you are like, I don't know what there is to do in Cleveland, but I'm down to go to both, Vish.
Yeah.
You know? And I got a friend that lives in Phoenix.
Well,
so I already told him I'm staying on his couch.
Yeah, that was the thing with this year with it being in Dallas and Houston. I was like, you could actually. I mean, let's be real. We're not going to go back between.
We were one win away from that happening.
I know, but
did you ever think we'd be able to say this? That we were literally one win away from both teams being in the Final Four in the same state.
I know. Like that's like, because let's be realistic. There's no way we're going back between Phoenix and Cleveland. That's probably not even like logistically possible.
It would have to be like flying in the day of and just taking like 6 a.m. flights and then going to the game and then flying back early morning the next day to hit up that game. Like
I don't know. Well, like I said, first world problems.
Could you imagine like you could literally just post a YouTube video of us traveling back and forth and us just like vlogging the whole
It's almost like we'd have to. I feel like it's a challenge now. We're gonna have to do it if they make it.
Huh? Listen, that's why we have savings accounts.
I mean, I'm not even
because. But honestly, when was the last time it happened? I think UConn won the men's and women's tournament.
UConn's definitely done it. Yeah.
At the same time. But we were the only team this year to have both programs in the Elite Eight, and we were one better shooting night away from having both teams in the Final Four. And me and you would have been on a road trip to Dallas yesterday.
I mean, we
would have been up at 6 a.m. driving to Dallas. I could have showed you all the good Tex-Mex places because I have a ton of family from there. We would have been eating Tex-Mex at Rosa's because it's the best. Their chicken enchiladas are fire. And we would have watched that, and one of our teams probably would have won the natty.
So you're saying if the women had beat LSU, they just would have kept winning?
I mean, I would have liked to think that, but just to be at, if you're a big Miami basketball fan, what better thing would there to be than to attend the Final Four for both teams in the same weekend?
I mean,
the only thing better is one of them winning a natty.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that it was like logistically like, oh, that's 3 hours away. What are you kidding me?
They're both in the same state.
I was like, this is so doable.
When we realized we were both going to Houston, that's when we hooked up and we were like, yo, let's meet up. Let's do a bunch of stuff. Like Friday, you were nice enough to pick me up from the airport, and I hung out with you like all day Saturday. And then you would have saved me massively on Uber if I knew you were hanging out in the hotel bar after.
I mean, that was just
I turned down the ride because we were ordering pizza because I was starving, because what people don't know is we went for barbecue for lunch that day with Vish, Matt, and then a bunch of my friends. And I was so nervous that I literally had like a little like tiny side of mac and cheese and like a chicken leg, and that's it. Because I was too nervous to eat. We got like a family feast that's good for 8 people. And it was just platters of meat. And I couldn't eat anything. And that's all I had eaten up until around midnight that night when we ordered pizza. Because I was just too nervous to eat. I think I had a glass of Dr. Pepper. So I was starving. And it took Pizza Hut like over an hour to deliver the pizza.
Oh, you got
Pizza Hut, because the Uber surge pricing went down. When I left the stadium, it was over $100. By the time I left my friend's hotel, it was $30. So that was a lot better. But my Uber from my hotel to my airport when I left Houston was like close to $70. So definitely saved me some cash this weekend, Vish.
Yeah, like because I called you afterwards, like, do you want to ride out of here? And you're like, no, we're getting food. I'm like, all right, because we had to get at the car at the parking lot by 12 because they closed the lot, allegedly, although I have a feeling it wouldn't have mattered when we went over there. But so we're like, all right, we'll just hang out in the hotel bar because it was only like 10:45 or whatever. It was so crowded. By the time we got to the front to order, because my friend was trying to get some food,
it was like, called me again at my friend's house. You knew my friend was staying there.
But you were supposed to be out getting food, not back in the hotel getting food. I was misled.
Yeah, nothing was open.
Yeah.
It was literally like we ordered the pizza at like 11:20, and on DoorDash it said that this place stops taking orders at 11:27.
Okay, so we had actually failed at getting
got
food.
The order in.
We had failed at getting food before that because we got up to the hotel at the front, and they have food there, but they closed the kitchen at 11. It was like 11:04, and the kitchen's closed.
But you were in line.
I mean, it was such a shit show in there. I don't lose. Whatever. I don't blame them. It was a mess. So we just had some drinks and then left.
So like we said earlier, both of our flights got delayed leaving Houston. So I was sitting at the airport bar watching the women's championship game, and I was sitting next to a lady that was wearing a UConn shirt. And so we were discussing the game, and I was like, I can't believe you're not staying for the finals. She's like, I know, I'm a terrible fan. And she's like, would you have stayed? And I was like, I was prepared to fork out the money. But I told her, I was like, I think UConn's going to destroy San Diego State. They're just playing peak basketball right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I'd planned to stay, so I had to change plans to get out of there. The other way.
That's right. So at the end of the day, I ended up saving money because I booked just to stay through Sunday, and you booked through the whole weekend.
Yeah,
I almost had to book to stay through Tuesday because a lot of the hotels closer to the arena were making you book 4 nights in order to stay at that hotel.
Well, I don't know that
I
don't know that I actually lost that much money than if I tried to piece it together. Because like the hotel I stayed at required a 5-night minimum. They gave me a great rate on it.
Oh, okay.
And then the same thing with the car rental because it gave me a weekly rate because I had it for 5 days, which ended up not being that. So I definitely lost money, but not that much. The most expensive thing was moving the flight because I had to pay like the last minute fare difference was.
Yeah. Oh my God, we should talk about the game though.
Yes, let's do that. All right, so let's start with I guess we started off very poorly. It was 9-0 like that.
Yeah, they were 3 for 3 from the field from 3-point to start it.
And Sonogo made 2 threes. That wasn't a good start.
And and it's so sad because we got so many good looks and nothing was falling. But I don't think you said you weren't going to watch the press conference, which I did. Coach L mentioned that he felt like the team just wasn't in sync, that the venue and the atmosphere and it all being so new, he thinks that the team just didn't just didn't feel comfortable for most of the game, and that's it. And like at one point in the first half, I think we got it to within 3. And then so many times in the second half, we got to like within 10. And then the officiating in the second half was so bad.
Yeah. So
anytime we got any type of run, it got thwarted by.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that in a minute because I had the same thought and got yelled at on Twitter the same way you did, I think. But and then explain.
I know I had to retweet my tweet and explain what I was.
I did the same thing because I got the same feedback you did. But so
a guy literally told me to F off because I told him I was like I was just like, stop arguing with me, get off my Twitter, and he's like, well, F you then, but he actually said the word. I was like, why are you arguing with another Miami fan?
Yeah,
but whatever.
He's back to cheering for Duke next year. But so
Right.
I mean, you can tell the type. So yeah, we started off, like you said, we were getting good looks. So from where I was sitting, you asked like what was it that like kind of caused the missed layups? Some of it was definitely like them doing a good job of kind of, altering shots. Some of it was us overreacting to their size and doing like stupid crap. There was a couple of Nigel Pack ones where like we were on that ankle and you could see he could have just laid it in normally and he like went for a reverse or double clutched it.
Well, he got blocked. I'm pretty sure. I think it was him. He got blocked early on.
That was later when
was it later?
That was after, because I know it was later because he already missed 2 or 3 of them, and then I told my friend, I was like, because you could see on that angle, like, why doesn't he just go up normally and just make the layup? And the next time he tried that, the dude swatted the hell out of it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe. But no, there were definitely times where there was no.
I didn't look at our 3-point shooting stats, but it was another thing. And I think I had said it before when I was on the ACF show last week. When we played Texas, we were like 2 of 8 from 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to have better shooting from the outside. Pac needs to be taking more of these threes because he's a great shooter. And our 3-point shooting percentage, again, was horrible.
It was horrible.
Like our field goal percentage in general was horrible.
Field goal percentage was horrible. The 3-point shooting was, we just didn't.
And Connecticut couldn't miss.
Yeah, but I do think we did get a little overwhelmed by the moment. We didn't play our game at all. And actually, like, because you were there too, like, it's hard to describe how weird it is playing basketball in that environment. Like, there is so much empty space. It is. There's so much empty space. Everything sounds funny. The ball sounds funny. The rims sound funny. It does not sound like a basketball game.
But I will tell you, it was a very neutral site. Like, I thought UConn would show up in the masses.
I actually think we had the most.
Our student section filled out a lot more than UConn's did.
I think we had the most fans
impressed.
there. We might have had the most fans there. Also, if you noticed, I think some of those FAU fans were dual wielding because a lot of those that was red in the first game turned orange. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed that, like behind like, because FAU was across from UConn's bench, right? That's where like their fan section was.
Yeah.
And like it was wall to wall Rex. I remember telling my friends like, I cannot believe FAU brought this many people. Like, and then but the second game, the same seats because it's one ticket for both. They weren't orange.
You got to remember. And listen, I'm from Broward originally, so I can say this. You got to remember, FAU's in Boca. Boca is a very rich, pricey. Those are the rich Jews. I grew up in Coral Springs, which are the poor Jews.
You should probably explain you're also Jewish before I get.
I'm also Jewish. Yeah. I always joke. I'm like, Coral Springs like the low mid class, and then Boca's like the upper middle class and high class area, whatever. It's been a running joke for years. But no, they got some money in Boca. Those people.
No. I understand they got some money. I didn't know they had that many people that would actually cheer for their team. Like, but then in the second game, a lot of them are wearing orange. And it's the same seats. So I think there was a wardrobe change.
I was talking to some people around us, and they were rooting for FAU, and they were like, yeah, we didn't even know that FAU had a basketball team until like they started making noise in the tournament. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, no, and I think that's I think a lot of students that go to FAU and FIU for that matter cheer for Miami. Which is fine. Like, I mean,
but FAU is also a massive state school.
Right.
So they got a lot more fans than or a lot more
alums. Yeah, but that's the weird thing though. They have the alums that those are the non I didn't go to Miami but I'm a Miami fan people.
That's more FIU probably. I mean maybe. I guess it's all South Florida.
Yeah, it's all South Florida.
I don't know. Listen, I did a summer semester at FAU, so I was like, I'm gonna claim them if they win.
You never would have, but
No, I probably wouldn't have. I mean,
no
I was rooting for them, but I was also not rooting for them. And I was mainly not rooting for them because I didn't want them to win and us to lose. Like, had we had the first game and we had won, then I probably would have rooted for them.
I still not sure if because just the prospect of like getting all the way to the championship game and losing to FAU, like I couldn't even risk that.
I know, but that would have been fun to have an all South Florida final. I don't know if that's ever happened where we've had like two teams from the same state play in the final.
Good question.
But like, and you think out of all the schools in Florida, that it would be Miami and FAU to make the Final Four. Like, neither team has ever been the traditional basketball school.
It is pretty remarkable that, like, because obviously Florida won those back-to-back national championships.
Back-to-back, and yeah, right. and then FSU in 2020 had they had a tournament, probably would have gone very far.
Right, right. But it is pretty remarkable that despite all that, like, there's clearly what the best program in Florida is, and it's Miami right now. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, FAU, the problem is FAU plays in a weak conference. So
I'm just talking about overall, like, as a program, like, made the Elite Eight and the Final Four. But, like, and then
overall, like, the resume of, like, the whole.
Just what's the best program in the state? It's Miami by a mile. It's Miami by a mile.
Florida and FSU didn't even, like, make the NIT.
Right, and they
did. The NIT?
No, and FSU didn't even win 10 games. Like, it's not even close, though. I guess.
But they beat us one game, so they think they're amazing.
That's true.
And they have their Final Four in 1972.
Yeah, well,
that's literally excuses. They're like, we have the same number of Final Fours. I was like, you guys got to the Final Four in 72, and that's before the field expanded. And it's 1972. So if you're going to use that excuse, then I can use the whole we have 5 championships and you have 3 in football.
I feel like you spend a lot of time arguing with FSU fans, and I'm not sure why.
It's not that I argue a lot. It's just that I follow a few FSU fans because we have a good conversation on Twitter. And so I see a lot of the stuff that they retweet. And I'm just like, if we can't use the argument, then the same argument is invalid for you as well. You tell us to stop referencing the past, but then when we do it, it's not okay. Like, when you do it, it's okay. But when we do it, it's not. The best, and not really the best argument I've seen is the whole, we have the same amount of Final Fours and we beat you once this year. So we're just as good as you guys.
Yeah, see, and this is the problem. This is why I said I think you spent probably too much time arguing with them. Like, no amount of logic is going to punch through that. If you're taking that stance, then you're not all there.
Like, I had a conversation with an FSU fan on Twitter a few months ago. And they were actually, no, it wasn't on Twitter. It was one of Coop's lives. They came into the show, like, and we were in the chat, and they were saying how their 5-7 season the year prior was better than our 5-7 season this year because they won games later in the season. They beat us and they improved through the season, even though we had the same record. And I was like, you didn't improve through the season. You lost to Jacksonville State. At least our Middle Tennessee lost. At least they're an a Division I and not an FCS. We're an FBS school. Like, the logic was so bad. They're like, no, you kept losing though, and you didn't improve, and we beat you towards the end of the season, and you guys had a winning record, so that makes that season better. And I'm like, it's the same record. We both sucked as equally. But your worst loss is more embarrassing than ours.
Again, you're trying to use logic with FSU fans. Like, one day you'll win. It's not going to go in.
Yeah, I got to stop reading threads. I start reading threads and I get annoyed and I'm just too passionate about it. But when they started talking crap about our hoops team when we were in the Final Four and they're all celebrating that we lost, I was like, you guys are so petty. Like, you can make fun of us if you were in the Final Four also and won. And you could be like, we're better.
Okay, so if FSU or UF was in the Final Four, I'd definitely be rooting against them and happy they lost. So
for sure, but I wouldn't be holding up like, oh, well, we beat you.
Yeah,
we only had 9 wins this season, but haha, we beat you. You lost to the worst team in the ACC. Like, that's where the
stupidity comes in.
I would never do that.
Yeah, that's where.
I would joke around and be like, oh, like, say we beat them and they won the Natty in basketball. I would do that whole UCF thing where like, oh, well, we beat them, so we technically won the Natty, but like joking around.
Right.
But they're serious. They were talking about how they have a better hoops program because they beat us. That our Final Four run's not legit because we lost to a 9-win team.
You can shut that down by saying, "Do you want to trade hoops programs?" They'll say yes, and before you can finish the sentence.
They'd probably be too stubborn to even admit it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They're probably gonna be firing our old friend Leonard Hamilton in the near future if they don't get better.
Yeah, Leonard Hamilton, which he was Coach L.
Yeah, Leonard Hamilton was the coach when I was there for a year. So
yeah,
you never had the coach Ham experience.
He was right before Perry Clark.
Yeah, so my freshman year was the year we made the Sweet 16, and then he went to the NBA, Leonard Hamilton.
And failed miserably.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we had Perry Clark, which was horrible.
Yes, that was the end of my. That was the rest of my time in college was Perry Clark. So
you got to see a football championship
and a baseball one. So
yeah, see, yeah. I started in 04. My best year was when Brock Berlin took us to the Peach Bowl.
You know, it has really been downhill since you got on campus.
I was in the student section hoping we would put Kirby Freeman in.
I mean, it's hard to that's what I was telling my friends before the game, and we'll get back to the game in a second, but
we keep saying that.
I haven't felt this way in so long. We're actually playing a championship stakes game because we've been so bad at everything for so long. It's always it was just weird. I hadn't felt that way since college.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we could actually win something.
I was telling friends because I have people that don't follow the basketball program as much as just follow football. I was imagine the football team making the college football playoff. This is what it feels like. Because I know we won the Natty before in football before and all of this stuff, but going to the football playoff for the first time, that's what this Final Four run has felt like to us true hoops fans. And if the 20 years of mediocrity with the football program, we've besides the last couple of years and then our 2013 run, we've basically been living in mediocrity and really poor play for a long time. Yeah. There was 1 year because of the FBI investigation where I think we only had 6 scholarship players and they were injured and we were getting to the point where we were going to have to play walk-ons. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, no. And
so the last 2 years have been so important to us actual hoop fans, any football fans that are watching this show. That's what you have to understand. This Final Four run, it may seem stupid when you hear me say oh, I shed a tear after we made it to the Final Four. It's because this is such a big deal for us. We are so dedicated to this program. And I haven't had season tickets for the last couple of years because of my job, but I'm going to figure it out. But before that, from the time I graduated in 2008 to 2018, 2019, I had season tickets every single year. Oh, Edward's making a comment about winning a football championship. He's a Clemson fan.
I mean, when I was in college, we won the football championship, so I could relate, Edward.
The BCS era. Yes. But Edward is a respectful Clemson fan. So I talk with him often about football. Yeah, he doesn't rub it in my face.
It's so hard to explain now, but back then, we literally won every game. And there was by the time it got to that Fiesta Bowl, you weren't even really that nervous. Of course we're going to win. We haven't lost 3 years.
We basically should have had 3 championships in a row.
Yeah, no, sophomore year.
We got screwed over by the BCS in 2000.
That was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
and the junior won the championship.
We got screwed by the refs in 02.
Yeah.
I remember watching the 02 game. I think I was a junior in high school and being oh, that sucks. Sucks to be them. And then the next year I decided I wanted to go to Miami. And then I was wow.
That one is still.
I immediately took offense to it. I didn't care because I wasn't a Miami person yet.
In your blood.
But then as soon as I got in, I was you know what? I take offense to this. That's horrible. And then I learned more about the Miami football history because before that I wasn't really following college football. I only followed college basketball. So, and then pro stuff. But I got into college football more once I started going to college. But I was you know what? I take offense to this. We should have 6 natties, probably 7.
Yeah, I was at that game and I sat in that corner where they call the pass interference. Actually, I was right there. Anyway,
what needs to happen is the Miami football team needs to get good when the championship game is in the Orange Bowl in Florida, so that I don't have to pay for travel. I just have to get a ticket to the game.
I will say,
because that would help me out a lot.
I don't know that it would be as expensive. I think one of the problems here is it's 4 schools. it's just like so much more demand. Like if it's
No,
only
like but like the final game, not like the 2 playoff semis, like the final game.
no, but what I'm saying is even the semis or the final, it's just 2 schools, it's 2 fan bases. For the Final Four, it's 4. That's why it's like so much more expensive. Like there's no, and then one of the other ones also,
and they're in different areas too.
Yeah.
So for the Final Four, it's like you got 4 fan bases coming into the
same
same
on the same game ticket.
Yeah.
So it's
and
just
then the semis for the college football playoffs are in different
things, and then
that
it'll be. I have a feeling it'd be less expensive. Plus, like you can sit where you sat and see easily in football.
Oh yeah, I love where my season tickets are for football. I'm like the 20 or 30 yard line upper deck on the home side, so I get like the shade. Because whoever sits on the lower level on the away side,
yeah, no, that's brutal.
God bless you, because honestly, that's brutal.
No, I think you're a section or 2 over from me. So
yeah, because you said you were like in 53, right?
Yeah, we're like right on like the 40, I think.
I'm in 350, so I'm like 20 yards down.
But we're pretty far up.
Edward said for the final, you got all day passes or just tickets for the basketball team. The tickets we got for the Final Four were for both games.
Yeah, it's just one ticket.
We were able to go to both games. Yeah,
it's just one ticket for both games. There's no option to split it.
One ticket for both games. Yeah,
there's no option to do otherwise. So you basically pay for 2 games. That's why it's so expensive.
Yeah, I watched. We got to the stadium right when the game started for the FAU SDSU. So we watched the whole game. But that last shot by SDSU, I jumped up. I was like, oh my God, that was crazy. And we had some SDSU fans a few rows in front of us. We had some FAU fans behind us. So it was like watching elation and then watching just complete disappointment all at the same time. But like for me, as much as I love watching Canes hoops, I get so stressed watching their games. Like for me, it's fun watching a meaningful game where I don't have a dog in the fight. And for it to come down to like the last shot, I love it. To me, that's so exciting to watch. I got excited, and I'm not even a San Diego State fan, but then the whole Miami game, I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah, no, that's.
But in my head, I was like, no, we're gonna come back. We've done it so many times. We're gonna come back. And
yeah, well, let's actually talk about the game this time. So we fell behind 9-0. So we missed a bunch of layups. So like, actually felt good still at that point because like we're getting all the shots we need. They're gonna go in. They never went in.
I was confident. I was so confident because like Coach L makes such great halftime adjustments. Through the tournament, we've had to play coming back. Like we've had to play down and come back. Like, and we've never had a game where we've played horrible the whole game. Like we generally have at least one good half. And in the tournament, it's been the second half.
Yeah, and especially the way I'm like, we're not going to keep missing layups. We're going to knock down some of these open threes. I thought this was different than Texas in that Texas we weren't getting threes up because they were overplaying us at the 3-point line. Yeah, which opened up the driving lanes and we took advantage. In this game, we were getting open threes. We were getting to the rim, and we just weren't making anything. I was like, if we keep getting these shots,
and we didn't have the rebounding. And I've said it before: if we out rebound the other team, we win every time. Yeah. But there's only so much Norchad can do when their center is 7'2" and he's 6'7". Yeah, and you could tell he was trying to stay out of foul trouble. He wasn't being as aggressive as he usually is. And I think a part of that was just like he knows like when you've got like a 6-inch deficit on the guy you're guarding, what can he do? It was as honestly out of that bracket, there were so many other teams that we probably would have beat. UConn was a horrible matchup for us. Well,
it was a horrible matchup, and we also didn't play well. Because one of the ways we've gotten away with it, because we're not the first tall team that we played, but Duke.
Yeah, and that's how we've beaten Duke. I mean, we lost to Duke in the ACC tournament because Norchad got injured in the first minute.
But I think the difference here is you don't make your layups, you don't make your open threes, you don't punish them for being too big, because that's what we've done to teams. We've gotten them to adjust to us because you can't guard us, and we'll go up and down. We'll play in the 80s. We're fine playing in the 80s. So eventually they get uncomfortable, like we got to match up. Because we kept missing open shots, they never had to match up. And then eventually
we were off. We were so and I said it at halftime. I was like, no, Coach L's going to make the adjustments. They're going to calm down. We've done this before. I felt confident because we had played so many close games in the ACC. And we've given up big leads, but we've also had to play from behind, especially more recently. We've had to play from behind a lot. And I was confident. I'm like, I've never seen us play a complete game so poorly. And then Coach L said the same thing in his press conference. Like, it sucks that like the one time we have that our worst performance has to come in our last
But
game.
I think those are
honestly, we match up so well with San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean,
I said it. I was like, if we beat UConn, we win the Natty.
Yeah, but I think those things are related. Like, I think we played our worst game because the moment got to us a little bit. It was a weird atmosphere. Like, we're missing. Like, I mean, we had to pull Woog out of the game. Just period. Like, he didn't come back. Like, that's crazy.
Well, we also needed Bensley's defense.
We did, but the fact that even after Pack's shoe, which we'll talk about in a second, happened, we went to Beverly. Like, I think he thought Woog had lost it and was not going to put him back in the game.
Yeah.
And that's like crazy to think about because how much progress he's made. And just like Coach L saw like this guy it's completely lost it. And I think had we made some of those shots and some of those layups, Connecticut would have had to adjust to us.
Yeah.
I will say
comment.
Yeah, no, it's
Edwards
definitely
comment. Their guards are 6'5". Like Pack is listed as 6 feet. He's listed as 6 feet.
It wasn't a good matchup for us, but again, the way we've always gotten away with it. In fact, same thing if you recall, like this going way back to last year, but that first game against USC, they were very similar. They had two bigs, all their guards were huge. We forced the tempo at them and forced them to play their backups because they couldn't guard us. But you got to finish your shots. You got,
and that's a big reason why I'm like I know we need taller people. But I'm hesitant to be like, oh, let's just get the traditional center because our game with the lineup that we're going to have next year, we're still going to be an up-tempo team. Yeah. I'm hesitant to be like, let's just go get a 7-footer because you want to keep Norchad on the floor. But if you also get a center that's big, then you've got basically like a center and a power forward who doesn't necessarily play the up-tempo game. And then where do you go from there? It kind of changes how we play, and I think our tempo and our outside shooting minus this game is what makes us so good because we're going to have Pack back next year. Wooga is going to take a step. I'm assuming Beverly's staying. Bensley's going to be a junior. He'll probably take another step. We've got a big man coming in at 6'10". Who knows how much play time he'll get and how he's going to develop, but
I'm sure we'll be in the portal. So
I would love us to get another taller point guard. Because Nigel is like a combo guard.
Yeah.
And he's played the point for us well. But he's more of a shooting guard to me, honestly. I would love us to get either a combo guard or a point guard to pair well with Nigel, assuming Wong isn't staying.
Okay, so
you have Wooga.
I'm gonna call a 20-second timeout here, 30-second now. Oh, wow, I dated myself back when they used to be 20. They made 30 seconds so could squeeze a commercial break in. Because commercials are 30 seconds. But anyway. I want to do a whole show with you talking about next year and how we build this thing out.
Yeah, I'll go off. Sorry.
No. I want to do that, and I also want to do it for the women's team too. So we might have a couple of shows coming up, but I want to just finish this Final Four game off before we do next year. So, but let's put a pin in that. But I definitely want to have that whole conversation with you on another show. So let's do that.
Well, you've known me long enough now to know that when I start getting passionate about something I'm talking about, it just goes.
Oh, I'm the same way. I think that's why we get along well at Twitter because, like, I respond to like everything on my timeline. You do too. That's why I'm always talking to you now.
It's just like who can get more words in before the other one thinks of something to say.
Yeah, but I will say a couple of things that. So after we went behind 9-0, remember we actually tied the game back up. We fought it all the way back in the first half. When Nigel Pack hit that 3, we tied it, and then they went on an 8-0 run. So we actually
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, no, we hit a 3 and we tied it. And I was like, man, reset. We're right where we need to be. And then they went on another run. And the end of the first half closed really bad. Especially
I kept saying, I was like, just keep it at single digits. And
especially
they hit a 3 at the end.
Yeah, and that was really like, I would say bad game management by us because we only committed 3 fouls. Like once he drives baseline, just reach in, make them inbound it. There's like a second left. Yeah. Allowing him to like go baseline and curl the pass around without like really and leaving the guy open for 3. Just take the foul on the pass.
I think we had a timeout a little bit before that, and I kept saying to take Norchad out for the rest of the half because he had 1 foul and you could tell he was playing careful. I was like, why not just put Walker in for that last minute? But they kept him on the floor, and I don't know that was the best decision. because Norchad wasn't going to reach in on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But even one of the guards on the perimeter could have just like reached in and just given a cheap foul to make them inbound it with like 2 seconds instead of running a play.
Yeah, and then the second half started off horribly. I think we were down like 21 at one point.
We were down 20.
We booked it back and got to within 10.
8.
And then
it was
some
8.
of the officiating.
All right,
and I'm not trying to make an excuse. UConn outplayed us. They for sure outplayed us. But anytime we tried to make a run, there was some BS call that got made against us. The Wong foul, which should have been a charge. I can't even name all of them anymore.
Yeah,
there
so the biggest
calls
one
that kind of turned the tide.
It happened, and again, we both made the same point on Twitter. Got yelled at for the same reason and clarified. Yeah. We're playing like crap. Like Connecticut's been better than us; they deserve to be in front. But every time we get close enough where we can really step back into the game, we get hosed by the refs. It happened like 3 or 4 times, and we actually got it down to 8 at one point, and that was the one where Wong grabbed the rebound and was going on for the fast break, and they basically just tackled him in the open floor, and no call.
Yeah, and they never called the foul.
They didn't call foul on anything. I was like, 2 guys just ran into each other.
I was like, this isn't football. I remember that now. Yeah. I yelled. I'm like, this ain't football. Like,
yeah, and then they actually went down and hit a 3 off that loose ball, and
it was
went
a
from
4
11.
point. It was a 4 point turnaround.
Yeah, it went to 11, and we were fast breaking to cut to 6 because it was an 8-point game.
We were playing. There was like a 3 or 4 minute span where we made some shots, we forced some turnovers,
and we sped the game up, and that was
8 and 10.
That was
and it was like around the 15 or 14 minute mark.
Yeah, there was plenty of time left at that point. Yeah.
And I'm excited. My voice is going hoarse because I was like, all right, we're making that run. We're doing the same thing we did against Texas. And then just some of these fouls and some of these calls, and you just can't. And then Nigel Pack's shoe. And for anyone who's watching this, stop blaming the equipment manager or the trainer for his shoe. No basketball team keeps extra shoes on the sideline. And people are like, oh, well, when Zion's shoe broke, they got him his shoe really quick. You all have to remember, Cameron Indoor is like this. This is a football stadium. The run back to the locker room to get him another pair of shoes is a lot longer. And I overreacted on Twitter too. It's a long run, and no team keeps shoes on the sideline. Don't blame Adidas because it's happened to Nike's. I think Zion was wearing Paul George's shoe, which is Nike.
Yeah.
Don't blame anything. They don't keep shoes on the sideline. It's just crap luck. It's bad luck. And their locker room is a lot further away than a regular basketball arena would have been.
Plus, I mean, Duke is on their campus. They got everything sitting there. Like, what are we talking about? This is a football stadium. Like, I think it was worded wrong on the broadcast and on Twitter that they were saying that Nigel didn't have an extra pair of shoes at all. No, it was.
I don't think that was the case.
Well, he wore something. So
he didn't have an extra pair of shoes on the bench because nobody keeps extra shoes there.
No one's.
I seriously doubt that he only traveled with 1 pair of shoes.
Yeah, he like wore something to the game and stuff. He's got other shoes.
Yeah, I can guarantee you there were another pair of shoes in the locker room. The trick was that they didn't have a pair of shoes on the bench, and no team keeps extra shoes on the bench.
Right, and obviously he had another pair of shoes. You can tell because he finished the game.
Yeah, he wasn't going to wear somebody else's shoes.
Yeah, he was wearing shoes.
It was his shoes. But the way, like, I think Susan, good old Susan, something said is like, Nigel doesn't have another pair of shoes. They're looking for a pair of shoes for him. Like, the way it was worded was horrible. And I even overreacted on Twitter because I was like, what the heck's going on? But that's not the case. They had to go find him. They had to go find his shoes in the locker room that's miles away from the football stadium.
Again, if you're in that stadium, you would realize how long it would take to get to the locker room and get back on the.
It's huge.
It is unbelievably big.
It's massive. Yeah.
And it's not like they have a lot of area. Like you said, no one keeps spare shoes on the bench, and there's no way to keep them anyway.
Yeah. And what people have to realize when you're watching the game, remember this is a football stadium, and the basketball court's not 100 yards like a football stadium is. So all those chairs around it are chairs that are actually on the field.
Yeah.
So they have to go through all of that and then go through the tunnel, go to the locker room, get the shoes out of wherever they are, and come all the way back. This isn't just like, oh, the tunnel's right there, and the locker room is literally 3 steps away. It's a lot farther. It got blown up way out of proportion.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, they say it's not your night. That is a good indication that it was just not going on.
It was not our night. It was not our night as soon as UConn came out and made 3 threes.
Well, their center hit a couple of threes, so I'm like, well, this is... But again, we fought it back. We tied the game at one point in the first half. We We sliced 12 points off of a 20-point lead. We just couldn't get over that hump.
The problem is, so basketball is a game of runs.
Right.
UConn's runs were a lot more. Their runs were bigger than ours, and once they made the first run, we would get it back to almost even. They'd make another run, and so the whole time we were fighting just to get back to even instead of being able to make that run when it's even and go ahead.
Yeah,
and then the officiating in the second half was so terrible.
I mean, they called one foul on them in the first 16 minutes. And the second foul was when 3 people fouled Jordan at the same time.
We went to the under 8 timeout or something, and I'm like, UConn has 1 foul.
Yeah, and I still think the biggest one was the long play, because that point you said a game of runs. We cut the lead down to 8, and UConn had called timeout. That's when we were finally like, wait, we might be able to do this.
Yeah, we forced some turnovers, and then he got
and then they missed.
tackled.
Yeah, they missed, and we got the rebound. So the timeout didn't work, because actually. Yeah. A few times I was impressed. UConn drew up really good plays out of timeout and got layups and wide open threes. That time they didn't. We got the rebound and then, man, I don't know. You know what? Call a charge on Wong then. You got to call something. You can have 2 players run into each other, end up on the ground, the ball squirt out and just be all ball or something. What do you even call it?
I mean,
call
there's
something.
There's a phrase that's let it play. That's not let him play. That's not a let him play. There's a foul somewhere. Wong got knocked to the ground.
Yeah, I would even have accepted an offensive foul on Wong if they're gonna say he charged. You can't tell me there was no contact. 2 guys ran into each other. The ball squirted out. They're lying on the ground.
It was an obvious block.
It was obviously
they were both running.
I mean, it was worse.
It was a 4-point turnaround because UConn came and scored on that play.
Right, and we could have actually cut to 6. Which, then we're right in the game. But again, UConn was the better team, and we just didn't.
Yeah, it's not us making excuses. Right. But the officiating wasn't as bad as the women's championship game yesterday.
I mean, holy crap. That's a whole other podcast.
That officiating was so poor.
That's a whole other show.
Right? But some of those calls really destroyed any momentum that we were trying to gain to get back into the game. UConn definitely outplayed us. They definitely deserved the dub. But they never, and I got ridiculed on Twitter for it, and I had to explain myself. I understand UConn played better than us, but we had a few runs there where we would get it to within 10, and something would happen, and there would be a bad call, and then UConn would just take off again. And there was no getting back into the game in the second half because of it. And again,
every time we had that.
Congrats to UConn, but it was very frustrating because differences in some of the calls, and this game's a lot closer than what the score shows.
Well, I think 2 things can be true, right? UConn was the better team; they absolutely deserved to win, and we dug our own hole, right?
Mm-hmm,
but it can also be true that we missed a couple opportunities to potentially climb out of that hole because of the officiating. Those are not mutually exclusive thoughts, and actually know exactly what I tweeted.
Both are correct.
Yeah. I actually know exactly what I tweeted was, quote, the refs are killing us, period. Just hit send and then check my phone at the next time out. And
the way I worded it the first time, I said something about the refs are deciding the outcome of this game. And then I probably worded that poorly. And then I had to quote tweet it and explain. I'm I'm not saying UConn did not play us, but I'm saying the refs did not give us a chance in the second half.
Yeah. No,
and then people still argued with me.
I did this. I said the same thing. I was it's not that we're losing because of the refs, but they're denying us some opportunities. Every time we get close and have a chance to kind of make it even closer, they get a call.
Yeah.
And even little things I know that dude is 7'2". There were times where he had him boxed out and he would just reach over the back. That's still a foul. Just because you're taller, you can't go over the top of him. Call that one.
We had issues rebounding long rebounds.
Yeah, no, we
got a lot of second chance opportunities off long rebounds. Why aren't our guards boxing out?
Yeah, no, in the second half especially. I think that's part of going with Bensley over Wooga. That's part of the trade-off there. Because Wooga's a pretty good defensive rebounder and Bensley's not really. But I think, if you call one over the back foul on that guy, how much less aggressive is he, right? I mean, there's little things like that. The idea that every single time he went over and volleyballed that he was clean, not one time did he make contact.
Well, I mean, they had one foul up until
that's my point. They did.
Left.
It's not it's like you missed a call. They didn't call a foul on him. On anyone on their team for most of the half. So something was, and not again. That's not why we lost. That's not
UConn. Yeah. Congrats to UConn.
No, the better team.
I think they're going to beat San Diego State. But hey, San Diego State proved me wrong.
Yeah.
But assuming they win, we'll have lost to the eventual champs in both men's and women's this year, and we lost to the eventual champs in men's last year. So
And women's.
we're just getting screwed in bracketology.
Women's last year also. It was just earlier in the tournament, South Carolina.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Dang.
I low-key think last year's women's team was probably better than this one. They just got a bad draw. They were playing so well at the end of the year because they started really slow. Destiny was injured.
Oh,
and by the time
the ACC tournament against Louisville.
Yeah, like
what a shot.
Well, that
game was crazy.
I still watch like the last 7 minutes of that game on YouTube. You can watch like a clip of it. Like when I'm like depressed, I'm like,
that.
I'm just gonna watch Destiny.
I will tell you,
score 17 points in a row here.
I'm gonna miss Destiny Harden so much, man.
I know.
She's everything that Kane's women's basketball is about.
I think if that team had gotten a bet, because they were playing so well, like they started the year so bad, like that they were like not even in the bracketology, like not last 4 out or anything. Yeah. And by the second half of the year, they were playing really well. Yeah. And then they got put into South Carolina at South Carolina, and that was the end of it. But they actually played South Carolina better than most teams did.
This year though, they played a 1 seed also.
Yeah, but South Carolina's a different animal than Indiana is. Like last year, South Carolina was just killing.
I'll tell you what, I saw on Twitter, and someone made a good point. I forget who said it, that Iowa did LSU a favor because like LSU's losses this year were all to South Carolina.
Yeah, and bad.
And so by Iowa beating South Carolina in the Final Four, basically it was like here's the natty because Iowa did the one thing they couldn't do, and then they beat Iowa. So, but Angel Reese, man, everyone's giving her a hard time because she didn't have great stats in the finals, but she was out with foul trouble.
Well, everyone was. I mean, that officiating.
Like 3 of their starters basically sat out the second quarter because of foul trouble.
Yeah, no, that was just they.
And then Caitlin Clark picked up a third before the second quarter ended.
Yeah, no, the officials ruined that game. Like I think LSU was the better team and deserved to win.
The tech that they called on Caitlin Clark for like moving the basketball or something.
Well, what they tried to explain after the game is they said that Iowa already had a delay a game from earlier in the game, so that was the second one, and that's why she got teed up. Yeah, exactly. Your face is my reaction to that. That was the explanation because everyone's like, "What are you kidding me? You gave a technical for that?" They're like, "No, it wasn't for that. It was for the second delay a game." So.
And you know what? It's really unfortunate because me and you had talked about this. We were really looking forward to this game.
Yeah.
The Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark matchup. And Edward will agree with me because I think I spoke about this with him too. I was really looking for. I don't think they guard each other, but I was just because it's just 2 really great women's basketball players playing, and one of the most like popular Final Four games that the women's basketball in general has ever had as far as viewership's concerned, and the refs they ruined it.
Yeah, no.
And I wasn't rooting for either team, quite honestly.
Me either.
I didn't have a dog in the fight. I didn't really care. A part of me was rooting for LSU because they beat our team, and then a part of me was rooting against LSU because they beat our team. But I just wanted a fun game, and I just felt like the officiating kind of ruined it. Like honestly, I was looking forward to that game more than the men's final.
Yeah, no, that should have been.
Miami lost, but
well, yeah, I mean, I'm still a little. But the officials, no one shows up to see them play, to see them, and they just took that game over.
It was super unfortunate, and they're talking about all the wrong things post game with that.
Oh my God!
I won't bring all of that because it's all controversial.
It's not controversial. It's ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous, but I didn't want to get into that. I mean, unless you want to.
I mean, I don't care. The floor is yours. If you want to.
I don't know if you read my tweet, but I talked about it.
I just knowing you, I think we're probably on the same side of this discussion. So go for it.
I'll just say I'm a big Angel Reese fan.
Okay.
I say kudos to her for being herself, and I think she's getting painted in a really bad light, and that's unfortunate, and it's kind of ruining what LSU did this season and winning the first national championship for their program. And people were complaining that Caitlin Clark didn't get like the most outstanding player, but when does a player on the losing team get that? It doesn't happen. Had Iowa won, for sure, Caitlin Clark would have done it. And I'm not saying she's not the most outstanding player in the tournament. Caitlin Clark is a beast. She's a once in a lifetime generational player for women's basketball. She's a beast. But Angel Reese was the most valuable player for LSU. And did she have a great finals game? No. But her stats didn't match up to what she's been doing because she was in foul trouble. It happens. That girl, I don't remember her name, that girl off the bench with the cool afro. That girl couldn't miss. She was just throwing,
she went off, yeah.
She was just throwing balls up from everywhere and stuff was going in. And I was like, wow. I think she's a freshman too. I was like, way to step up for your team as a freshman in the most important game of your life. And come away like at halftime, I think she had like 21 points. Like, but no, yeah, I really do. I don't want to say I feel bad because I don't know how to describe it, but like Angel Reese isn't getting the respect she deserves, I feel, and I think it's a shame that they're trying to kind of like dim her light and something that's supposed to be so exciting by complaining to her about doing the John Cena thing when it was just done like the weekend before. That's somebody else.
It's stupid. It's dumb. Like there's definitely some misogyny and racism pulled into one there.
Yeah,
I'll just say it. You danced around it. I'll go right in.
Yeah, I asked that question on Twitter. I was like, had this been the men's tournament, is this even a conversation?
No, of course not. Other than that's, I mean, if you, it would have been a conversation in the context of what a badass.
Yeah,
not like as a negative.
It would have been a conversation in a positive light.
I mean,
instead it's a young Black female player.
Yeah, no, it's
and I hate to say it, but there's a racial component involved and there's a sexist component involved, and that's just my opinion. We're all allowed to have our opinions, and it's really a shame because Angel Reese is an excellent basketball player. And I think it's great. I love her trash talk. I wish I had the guts to do that.
Yeah, no, and Edward's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we as Miami fans very well know when you reap what you
sow. Miami invented trash talk.
Yeah, and getting made fun of when we lose. Like we've been there and done that, right? Like we know what the stakes are. When you run your mouth, when you lose, it comes back at you.
I've trash talked enough in the stands that I got kicked out of a basketball game by the refs. So. But not
that
Angel Reese will ever watch this show, but I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan too, bro. I played basketball through high school. I mean, I wasn't good enough to play in college, but I played varsity basketball in high school, so I love basketball. I've been playing it since I was like 7 years old. So these girls are amazing, and it was for me. It was super exciting to see how popular the women's tournament was this year. It is awesome to see
how much it's growing,
and how much the viewership expanded into the Final Four, and what LSU and Iowa was able to do despite how bad the rest were, and how exciting it was. And I know a lot of that's Caitlin Clark because she's a generational player. But I enjoyed watching the
I also think and again, we're going to do a whole broadcast talking about like our women's team. We'll probably touch on some of this, but as the women's game expands, there's a lot more parity. You saw 2 1 seeds lose in the second round this year. UConn didn't make the Elite Eight for the first time forever.
South Carolina lost.
Yeah, South Carolina lost. So it's just the game is expanding. It's getting better and better, and people are noticing, and that's why you're seeing the ratings.
I hope more girls want to play basketball because it seems like the most popular girls sport currently is softball. Which I hope Miami gets a softball team one day.
Is it not soccer?
Also, softball to me is more fun to watch than ladies soccer.
No, I'm not talking about
hard.
I'm not talking about difficult. I'm just talking about most popular sport. It's got to be soccer for women.
I don't know. Softball, I think is.
I mean, the U.S. women's team is a machine, and that like permeates like all women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we went way off topic here. So Final Four.
I know, but we started talking about women's basketball.
I know.
Caitlin Clark has such a big platform, and I hope more young girls want to play basketball because a lot of the times you see ESPN post tweets about what's going on in the WNBA or what's going on in women's college basketball, and like 90% of the responses are like, "Who cares? Nobody watches women's basketball."
Yeah, but
blah blah blah.
Here's my statement to that. First of all, no one asked you. Just keep scrolling. Second, for years, right, we've heard of like why as an excuse for lack of coverage of women's sports. Well, no one cares, or they would cover it. People care. They're covering it. And now you're complaining that they're covering it. Like I was like, I thought you said if people cared, they should cover it. Well, people care. so they're covering it. So
I
what is your
follow them.
problem?
I'm gonna probably get season tickets for the women's teams next year, and I've never done that. I usually just go to a few games, but I'll probably be in the stands for as many women's games as men's games that I can attend when I'm not working. And when I'm not there, I'm splitting season tickets with a friend, and he'll go.
Yeah, no, but I across the board, women's sports are popular. That's why they cover them.
Yeah.
If you don't
Honestly,
like it, if it's not your cup of tea, don't watch it. No one's
Honestly,
making it.
one of my favorite things to watch is the Women's College World Series. I love women's softball. To me is so much fun to watch. I tried to play softball in high school. I played for a few years. It's a hard sport, and honestly, it looks harder than baseball because everything is a lot closer and things are coming at you faster. But softball to me is really fun, and obviously, I'm a basketball fan, so I'm going to watch that too. But I'm hoping this Final Four this year, with how exciting it was, gets more people caring about women's basketball. And I hope Caitlin Clark stays at Iowa next year because I think she can bring a lot more popularity to the sport.
So I saw. Do you know if this is true? I saw that she's technically like not eligible for the pros yet.
She's a senior.
I swear I saw something about like she's
Angel Reese. Angel Reese is not eligible yet.
Okay, maybe I mixed them up.
Yeah. No, Caitlin Clark is eligible. She just has a 5th year because of the COVID year.
Oh wait, hold on a second. No. I'm reading this now. Caitlin Clark is not eligible for the WNBA. Here's why.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. You're teaching me something about it.
What? Okay, though the NBA changed rule, blah blah.
Edward said the Natty game averaged 9.9 million views and peaked at 12.6 million views. So hey, all the haters, people care.
Okay,
Edward
so actually,
the stats. You got to get Edward on here for a Clemson preview for football.
Let's not.
No. Listen. Me and him, I literally talk to him about sports every day. I met him through the Coop channel. He's very educated.
I'm not going to say he's educated. I just don't want to think about playing Clemson football right now. But apparently,
no. But it'd be fun because he'll tell you the legit stuff. And
we know
maybe
he'll
actually show his face.
When
he comes on the Coop show, he just puts up like a avatar or something.
Well, we know what's going to happen when we play Clemson football. We're going to lose. It's going to be bad. So,
but maybe we'll cover the spread next year.
I mean, they have to set a pretty big line. But apparently you have to be 22 years old and have graduated or whatever. Like, there's like very
I thought she was graduating.
There's very strict WNBA entry rules, which I was unaware of.
I thought she was graduating this year, though. Is she not graduating this year? I thought she was.
I'm trying to figure out why she's ineligible, but...
I'm misinformed then. I know Aaliyah Boston said she wasn't coming back.
A player must be 22 years old during the year of the draft, have graduated or graduate within 3 months of the draft from a 4-year university, or have gone to a 4-year university where original class will have graduated within 3 months. So,
what year is Caitlin Clark? Is she only a junior?
That's the next thing. This is live Googling. This is great content. She's only 21.
I like how we said we were going to start at 6:30 so we could finish by 8, and here we are. It's 8:12, and we're.
I mean, I got another show at 8:30, so we definitely want to finish by then. But,
we need to end very shortly.
But anyway, she's only 21, so she can't enter.
So I guess she'll be back next year.
Yes, she will be back.
I hope Iowa surrounds her with some more players.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Who wouldn't want to play with someone that scores all the points and makes it easy for her?
Edward says she's a junior.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought she was a senior, but I guess I was.
I was just unaware that the WNBA like eligibility requirements were that tough. You learn something every day. I guess.
Well, honestly, she could probably make more in NIL than she will in the WNBA at this point. So. That's
true, also. Because women's sports are popular.
And she's at Iowa. Imagine if she was at like a more marketable state or something. But she wants to. I think she's from Iowa.
Yeah, but I think that does help her in a little bit, just because she's by far the star in the Big Ten, which is like a huge footprint with a lot of like cities in it. So that does help her a lot. Like she's like synonymous with them. If she was like at a school where she blends in with other great players, she won't stand out as much. Yeah. And then. In terms of that conference,
the LSU coach told her that she was a generational player, like in the handshake line, because they stopped to talk. I was too distracted by what she was wearing.
Don't get me started on the LSU coach. I'm not a fan. I'll leave it there.
The outfits were that pink thing she wore in the semifinals was insane. But I would never be caught dead wearing it. But hey, if she wants to wear that on national TV, go at it, girl. Congrats on a national title. Again, from another school. I think she's up to 4 now.
Yeah, 3 at Baylor and then the 1 here. Oh. And she won 1 as a player.
Did she?
Yeah, Louisiana Tech.
Ah, so she's from Louisiana, which is why she left.
Yeah, and actually, like, so I started really following women's basketball in the '90s, and Louisiana Tech used to be a powerhouse. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. You should look up some of their history.
I only followed UConn back when I was a kid, so.
Yeah, this was right when like UConn.
What women's basketball player didn't follow UConn in the '90s?
Yeah, but this is like when UConn was coming up, and like Tennessee was the mountaintop, and they started challenging, and then eclipsed Tennessee.
Oh, the Pat Summitt days.
Yeah, but back then, like Louisiana Tech was like in that conversation as one of the top programs in the country.
Oh, we know Louisiana Tech. We lost to them, didn't we? In football, wasn't that a bowl game?
Was that the one where we didn't where we didn't score?
Yeah, 14-0.
Yeah, yep, that is. Yes, it was. All right. Well,
you got to log off with me and start another show in 15 minutes.
Well, let's end with something on topic a little bit. So let me just. So all right. So obviously
we talked a lot of basketball. It just
we did.
Migrated from different things.
We drifted. I you know what I said coming in, like I don't really set agendas. We just let it flow. It flowed.
Maybe we should go with the script next time so we stay on top.
We keep it tighter. Good thing we went live because I'm limited to an hour if we'd pre-recorded, and that would not have ended well. So no, I do want to end with something. So obviously this was like, and let's stick to the men this time because I want to do a whole show with you on the women because I think there's a lot of ground we can cover there, and I've been covering the women by talking into the camera myself. So I'd rather talk to someone else.
You have a friend now.
I know.
Twitter bringing people together.
Who knew? So obviously this was like a memorable season, the whole season, and obviously the run in the NCAA tournament. So what is your you can pick anything. What is your favorite moment from this season? Or if you want to narrow it down to the tournament, let's do that. But what is your favorite moment?
The favorite moment from the season?
Or you can just
I'll do like the regular season and I'll do like
okay, all right, yeah, do two.
Favorite moment from the season. Probably breaking the streak against FSU and beating them at home after we had like 9 straight losses from them and blowing them out at home. Even though we lost to them at home after that, but I'd say finally getting that dub in. Rivalry, as bad as FSU was, it's just nice to get that rivalry win, so I'll take that. And then from the tournament, it's got to be when the clock hit 0 to make it to the Final Four. Just making it to the Final Four and walking up to the stadium on Saturday and seeing the U logo on the big thing outside, the big sign outside. And
that was the same.
Seeing
thing.
the Miami press, just seeing the Final Four court in person. Like I know I'm being a little selfish talking about the things I've experienced, but when that clock hit 0, because I was on a bus. No, I wasn't on a bus. That's when we made it to the Elite Eight. When we made the Final Four, I couldn't watch.
Edward told you.
So when Edward DM'd me that we won our game and we were going to the Final Four, that was the best moment of the year, of the season, of anything for me. And it's funny that a Clemson fan had to get me through a bunch of these games because I was either at work or driving, and so I couldn't watch. And so he was just giving me updates. But he knew when not to give me updates because he knows I get nervous if we're losing. So he'll just be like, "Oh, okay, we're up by this," and then I'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna give up a big lead again. Like, don't tell me anything else." And so when I was driving home for that Texas game, I had seen the score update that we were down like 4 with 7 minutes left, and I had heard that we had been down as much as 13. And so when I got back, I couldn't watch it. So that text where he said Miami won, they're going to the Final Four, and I just fell over in my living room. Best moment for me. But regular season, I'll go with getting that dub against FSU.
Yeah, for me, and by the way, it was supposed to be your personal best moment, so it should be your personal story, not just like. So that was a good answer. I know you said, "I'm sorry, I'm making it about myself." I was like, that was the point.
I don't know about the regular season. Like,
that's
personal. I guess. I mean, it is personal. Rivalry games always matter, even when they suck.
Your answers were fine. Your answers were good.
I went with one team thing and one person.
No, but what I'm saying is like when you were saying like, oh, seeing the court and all that, and then you're like, well, I'm kind of making it about me. It's supposed to be about you. So like, I had the same moment. I wasn't really like focused, and all of a sudden I looked up and saw like the U thing on front of the stadium. And I was like, that's like where it struck me. Like, holy crap!
I have so many pictures in front of that.
That's something else right there.
Who's your favorite player on the team this year?
God. It's like, what is this, Sophie's Choice? I can't do that.
My favorite player isn't necessarily because of how they play. I'm a girl, so sometimes I go off looks.
Okay.
Norchad has the most gorgeous smile. Every time they're interviewing him and he smiles, I'm in my 30s, so I shouldn't start like crushing on someone who's like 20, but I think he's just a beautiful man. And he's also like the first Nicaraguan to ever play D1 basketball, so he's doing so much to help basketball in another country and like making it more popular there because he grew up playing baseball. So I think he's got a really cool story. So I really like him, and he should, when he's done with his basketball career, go play tight end for Coach Cristobal.
Yeah, if we even use a tight end anymore, that's a football discussion. But
listen, Coach Dawson, I got faith in you, bro.
Yeah, but he
can't be worse than Gaddis.
He doesn't really feature the tight end that much. But so actually, do you speak Spanish?
No, I mean, I broke in Spanish.
Okay, because
I'll
send you this
stuff.
So the reason I'm asking,
stuff.
the reason I'm asking is, and you can see if you can make. Actually, you might be able to even do like a live translate on YouTube now. I don't know, but there's this cool video of, like you mentioned, like one thing we don't really talk a lot about is how big Norchad is in Nicaragua, and so actually a Nicaraguan YouTuber came to like Watsco and like watched him play and was like narrating everything and like talking about like how the arena is. And
I can put on like English subtitles. Or
yeah,
something.
I'll find it. Like and say I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is like such a Miami thing too.
Well, you see at games, there's always people there with a Nicaraguan flag.
Yeah,
so
I was like, this is such.
I think that's such a cool story.
No, we have the starting center's Nicaraguan, the backup point guard's Haitian. Like this is a Miami team.
And Nigel Pack beat his hometown school to make it to the Sweet 16 after they did not recruit him out of high school.
Yeah.
And he wanted to play there.
For me, like the biggest, like I'll just go with the tournament because we're running out of time here. But like the biggest that Drake game, I cannot tell you how down I was. I'm like, I flew all the way to freaking Albany. I was literally like thinking, like, do you think like this is in my head because the women hadn't started yet; they were playing the next day. I was like, is it possible to get to Bloomington from here, like before tomorrow's game? That's what I'm thinking in my head because I'm like, I'm getting the hell out of here. So I'm either going back to DC, and I was like, if I go back to DC, can I like get a flight that doesn't conflict with the women's game?
That's another moment for me is both teams beating Indiana.
I mean, that is crazy. Like, that is crazy.
The women coming back against OK State, down 17 at the half to win that. Then we beat the 1 seed. Our men's team beat Indiana the day before. So we knock off both Indiana teams for both teams to make the Sweet 16. The first time the women have ever done it, unless you include the 90s when it was
those ones don't count, really.
But, Katie Meyer and Coach L are the best things that have ever happened to Miami.
I know. There's that picture. There's a picture that, because they were – I mean, this is like so cool. Actually, this is the moment, right? When they're both like leaving to go to the Sweet 16 seed
and
together.
They hug.
Oh, that's the one for me.
I love it. And then I shed a tear when I was watching Coach L hug Norchad, Jordan Miller, and Isaiah Wong.
That one hurts.
We were gonna lose.
That wound is too new.
You can see they're tearing up, and I was just like, oh, my heart.
Yeah.
To not see Jordan Miller in a Canes uniform next year hurts my soul because he's literally like the heart.
Yeah, that and like the weirdest one for me there. Well, first of all, there's that picture of Coach L and Katie Meyer like arm in arm in front of the bronze statue in front. That needs to be in front of the stadium. Right? That exact picture.
So many people talk about Larinaga and not enough people talk about Coach Meyer.
Well, I am. We'll talk offline about Coach Meyer, but I'm close with her. But,
are you? Yeah, no, she's cool. She seems like really cool people.
Yeah.
And when I've like tweeted about women's basketball before, and I've tagged the women's account.
Oh no, she reads.
A bunch of my stuff.
She reads.
She
Twitter.
reads like everything.
She reads everything.
So most of the stuff she's liked has been about her, though. I'm just kidding. Because I'm like, she's not getting enough credit.
No, but she's the winningest coach in school history. Period. So like, it needs to be both of them in bronze out front. That's what I'm angling for. Like, I can't pick.
Right?
I can't pick. They need to both be there. Like that picture was perfect. They're headed to the Sweet 16 together.
And Katie Meyer is not old.
No,
she's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, no, this is.
Coach L will probably be there till he's 90. But
I can tell you,
someone asked him if he was going to retire, and he said he's like, "Why would I want to retire?
Well, I'll tell you what the other part is, though, too, and this is what gives me confidence going forward. I think he knows he can win a championship here, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. My God. Can you imagine us being at a Final Four game and the Canes win the Natty, and me and you are sitting next to each other in the stands? Who do you think passes out first, me or you, or who cries first?
I mean, I will say I held it together when we went to because there were dudes sitting around me that I didn't know, and I didn't.
Yeah, but if you're with somebody you know,
I know that's why I was inoculated this time because I was sitting around strangers. There's like no one to share the moment with, really. So like, yeah. No,
I honestly, and sorry to all the football fans out there, but I would 1,000 times more enjoy a basketball championship than a football championship. The first one is always the best. And me and Vish will be in the crowd crying our eyes out. I would do everything in my power to get a piece of confetti off the court. And buy all the merch.
Yeah, that's the dream. But I actually think Coach Held thinks it can be a reality, and that's why I think if he like wins the championship,
it is the
he
next
might.
step.
Yeah, and I think
Elite Eight last year, Final Four this year.
Keep advancing. Yeah.
But the program's got massive expectations now. So
no, but I think he does too, and that's the part that makes me encouraged because and you've been through this too. For years, we've been told like why the program can't be better than it is, why it can't be good, why it can't compete at this level. We actually have a coach that's not only competing at that level, but embracing that and saying, not only can we compete at this level, we expect to compete at this level. Like I expect to be in the Final Four. I expect to win it. Come to Miami, let's win a championship together. Like it's encouraging to have a coach talk that way.
With NIL and how likable Coach L is, and what I know that's really a funny comment, Edward. And what NIL, what Coach L is doing, how likable he is, and the run that we've made the last 2 seasons, this can only help us in recruiting.
Yeah, no, and
like, I generally think we're going to be even better next season.
Yeah, and also I actually do have to go do another show, but
yeah, I know.
But real quick, we talked a little bit about plugging people in. Don't sleep on Christian Watson; he's really good. It's just we had so many guards this year, he couldn't get playing time. Jazz is waiting. He's probably waiting in the other stream. All right.
Jazz.
All right. We're gonna do the event. I gave it an extra half an hour just to make sure we got out by 8, and it's 8:27. All right, so
and it's 8:27.
All right, well we're gonna do some other shows, talk about like next year's men's team, next year's women's team, and we'll talk a little bit more about this year's women's run because we touched on that here, but didn't really go deep into it. So.
All right, Vish, thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah, don't be a stranger. Talk to you later.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.